Hello family, Sir here. In this video we are discussing home prices, price reductions, foreclosure, climate change, and why it's going to impact your monthly mortgage payment. And we're also going to touch on the current housing market and if it's better to buy a home right now or to rent. I feel like it's been a while since I gave you an in-depth national market update, so stick around. I'm Sir Ashley, a realtor and investor, and on this channel we talk about money, real estate, and North and South Carolina. If you're interested in any one of those things, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also tap on that bell icon so you can be alerted when I drop a new video. Now we're going to touch on all the topics I alluded to in the introduction, but they're going to get woven into the discussion and not segmented off in particular parts. First, I want to say people talk about the housing market on two extremes. Either it's a bubble or it's about to crash. But the truth is, the situation doesn't have to be either one of the extremes. And I know this hyperbolic rhetoric gets the clicks and the likes because it stirs up people's emotions. Presently, people are talking about the housing boom being over and how the end of the eviction moratorium will crash the housing market. Please do me a favor. If you've heard either one of those things, saying that the housing boom is over and that there's going to be a crash because the eviction moratorium is coming to an end, please type in the comment section, I have. Because too many people are on the internet talking about an upcoming housing crash. And the data just doesn't line up with what they're saying. If you go back, many of those same people have been calling for a housing crash for the last 18 to 36 months. Yet, every time they say there's a crash coming and that date or event passes, nothing happens and there is no housing crash. Yet, no one calls them out on it. Now, I'm not saying that people that put this information out there is doing it on purpose or that they're bad actors, but they are playing on people's emotions and confirmation bias and telling people what they want to hear to make them feel better about the decisions they're currently making. Before we dive into the housing numbers, let's talk about a topic that is very pertinent to today, and that is the debate between renting and buying. Now, some people are telling me that they're going to rent because they are waiting for prices to come down and that renting right now is just better than buying a home. Now, this advice that I'm giving you right now is for the majority of people. There are exceptions to what I'm about to say, and I believe what I'm saying applies to about 75 to 80% of the people. And then there's that 20 to 25% that fall into the exception. For 20 to 25% of the population, because of their particular situation, renting absolutely makes sense. And it's just wise for them to do so. Now, some people in that 20 to 25% would be better off renting. In fact, some people are choosing to sell their current home and capitalize on that equity and pocket a large sum of money that they are going to invest in a vehicle, not a car, but an investment vehicle that is secure and will achieve a high yield. Some other examples of people who would be better off renting are those who are unsure of where they want to live, and they may just be nomadic people and simply enjoy going from place to place without a care in the world. And even then, I believe those people should have some type of real estate investment, but that's a video for another topic. But again, I get it. When it comes to buying a home and owning property, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask of you. If you're enjoying this content, please hit that like button and feel free to share this video with any friends or colleagues. It greatly helps me out and it allows the channel to grow. All right, let's get back to the video. For the majority of those people who think that they are trying to time the market and believe that renting is just better than buying right now, you're just not informed enough to actually know what's going on in the housing market, or you're being informed by the wrong people and individuals. Let me ask you a quick couple questions. For the last 18 to 20 months, who has been more protected? Has renters been more protected, or have people who own property and lived in that home been more protected? Please let me know your answers in the comment section. During the past year and a half, 2 years almost, during this pandemic, who has been more protected? Renters or people who have owned their property and lived in that home? Well, let's look at it. Renters got eviction moratoriums, and supposedly the government was going to assist these people. But of the $40 billion that was allocated to helping renters, as of late August, 89% of the rental assistance has not been distributed to those renters. Now, let's look at homeowners who lived in their home during the pandemic. What did they get? Well, homeowners received a loan forbearance where they did not have to make a mortgage payment for anywhere from 12 months to 18 months. Let me ask you another quick question. Of those two categories of people, homeowners and renters, which one is actually facing a housing crisis right now? I know some people are going to say, sir, there's going to be a foreclosure crisis as well as an eviction crisis. And my reply to you is, there's not going to be a foreclosure crisis. And I can confidently say that because home prices have gone up over 20% in the past 18 months. And more than 85% of homeowners right now in America have equity in their property. And people with equity do not allow their homes to get foreclosed on. They either refinance or they sell the traditional way and pocket that equity. Now, yes, they may be delinquent on their payments. They may get a notice of default that starts the foreclosure process, but the actual act of the bank foreclosing on their property is not going to happen. Why? Because homeowners have equity in their property and they've just gotten more wealth in the past 18 months. According to a report from CoreLogic, in the first quarter of 2021, the average homeowner gained approximately $33,000 in equity during the past year. And that's just the first quarter of this year. And prices have only gone up since then. So if you're banking on a foreclosure crisis and believe all the hype about a foreclosure crisis and a crash coming soon, I'm sorry, but you have been misled. Because in a report put out September 15th, 2021, it highlights that foreclosure rates has fallen to 22-year lows, with every state in our nation noting a decline in foreclosures. Now, back to the original question. Is renting better than owning a home right now? Well, let's look at the monthly payment. Rental rates are increasing every year. And in fact, since 1980, nationally, rents have increased over 8% annually. Let me repeat that. Since 1980, rental rates have gone up on average 8% every single year. And during the Great Recession, when there were tons of properties on the market for sale and people could get them at a cheap price, what do you think rent prices were doing? Yes, they were still going up. Now, if you buy a home today and got a 30-year fixed mortgage, your monthly payment will be the same exact amount for the next 30 years. No one is coming to you trying to increase your monthly payment by 5 to 10% each year. Please do yourself a favor. Ask someone who bought a home around 2014 or 2015 and got a 30-year fixed mortgage, and ask them if their monthly payment has increased since then. Now, ask someone who's been renting since 2014 and 2015, and ask them if their rental payments has increased since then. Also, home ownership or ownership in general is the cornerstone of building wealth here in America. And I could get into talking about the wealth gap between renters and homeowners, but that's a topic for a whole other video. Mortgage rates right now are below 3%. So if you want to buy a $350,000 home, the principal and interest portion of your mortgage payment would be below $1,500. Please let me share a difficult truth with you. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if you're looking for a rental home that's at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and in an area with good schools, you will have a very, very tough time finding a rental that checks off all those boxes for less than $1,500 a month. Let me transition back to something that I glanced over. I mentioned that for a $350,000 home, your principal and interest payment would be below $1,500 if you got an interest rate under 3%. Now, that $1,500 figure doesn't include taxes and insurance. And I feel like we should talk about insurance right now, because all of these once-in-a-lifetime weather events that are taking place almost yearly or multiple times a year right now is really going to impact the amount your mortgage payment will be moving forward. I'm not here to preach about climate change being real, but I will share with you what an insurance agent who's been in the home insurance business for over 30 years recently said. He said, "I'm not sure if climate change is real, but all of these natural disasters, hurricanes, flooding, wildfire, they have and are going to continue driving up home insurance prices, premiums, and deductibles." And he fears that if those insurance prices keep rising, it's going to cause housing to become less affordable. Now, let's transition to the recent housing numbers and see if there's a legitimate cause for concern and if the housing boom is truly over. Yes, we are still in a housing shortage, and there is a severe lack of inventory on the market. And this lack of inventory will cause property prices to continue to rise. However, there is some good news for you buyers out there. According to the MBA, as of last week, mortgage applications to purchase a new home were slightly down from a week prior, and purchase applications is down 18% from this same week last year. Look, every market is different, and yes, I'm speaking in general right now when I'm going over these numbers, and if you want specifics for your area, please contact a local real estate expert to get the exact numbers and figures for the area you're interested in. But what I'm seeing here in Charlotte, North Carolina, I see homes sitting on the market longer than they typically have been. The average home sale price in Charlotte is right around $400,000. But this nicely renovated 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with granite countertops and a deck out back was priced at $250,000, and it sat on the market for 14 days before it went under contract. In the first 2 quarters of this year, a renovated home of that size and in that price range would have been sold in 1 to 2 days for well above asking price. Now, nationally, pending home sales are down, and that's why you hear people saying the housing boom is over and that a crash is coming. But if you look at the data and pay attention to historical context, you will see that pending home sales is still up 6% from this time last year. And that's despite new listings being down 7%, and active listings for homes for sale are down 23% compared to this time last year. So quick recap, the number of homes for sale is down, number of new listings are down, yet pending home sales are up 6% from this time last year. It doesn't sound like the housing boom is over to me. But buyers, you can take solace in knowing that only 47% of homes are under contract in their first 2 weeks of being listed. So if you're in the market to buy right now, there's a 50% chance that you will not be in a bidding war, and you won't have to waive inspections or contingencies like you would have if you were looking to buy a home earlier this year. After examining all the data, it is clear to me that the housing market isn't crashing and the boom definitely isn't over, but we are simply following historical trends. Humans, we're predictable. As much as we like to think we're different and like to go against the norm, if you look at the housing data, aside from 2020, you will see that this time of year, there's typically a downward trend that goes into the fall. Less buyers are on the market and less homes are being listed for sale. So of course, the numbers look depressed compared to the highs of spring and early summer. The reality is, sellers right now are getting more for their property than sellers were earlier this year. Now, yes, you will see price reductions in the market, but that's because those sellers were either given the wrong advice and drastically overpriced their home, or they failed to listen to sound advice and drastically overpriced their home. And now their asking price for their home is coming down more along the lines of where it should have been. Buyers, there is less competition on the market right now. So if you want to avoid a bidding war, now is the time to get serious about buying a home. Because if you wait to the beginning of the year, everybody else is going to want to buy during that time, because that's the traditional buying season. Let's quickly talk about interest rates. Interest rates right now are ridiculously low. And if you compare just monthly payments between buying a home or owning a home and renting a home, it just makes considerably more sense to buy than rent, because the monthly payment for home ownership is less than it is if you were renting. But I will say that that is ignoring the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is having the down payment necessary to buy. The average home buyer today puts down 7% of the home purchase price when they go to buy a home. But there are loans out there in which a home buyer can put down as little as 3% or 5%. Or if you're a VA home buyer, you can get a 100% loan. Or if you buy a home with a USDA loan, that is also a 100% loan. So you don't have to come up with any down payment. And if you want to buy, I encourage you to do whatever you can, legally speaking, to save up for your down payment, even if it means sacrificing right now in order to accomplish your greater goal. I personally have clients and friends who have taken odd jobs such as driving for Uber Eats or picking up a part-time job or gotten into wholesaling real estate in order to save the money necessary to get their down payment for a home. Remember, when you see these headlines and videos talking about a housing crash, yes, hear them out, but challenge their positions with context and historical data. I'm Sir Ashley. Talk soon.